Imagine you are standing in a house that is slowly catching fire. You look around and see the smoke rising and the walls turning black. In your hand you are holding a paintbrush or a wooden spoon or maybe just a notebook. Your first instinct would likely be to throw those things down and run for water. Most of us feel like this every single day. We look at the news and see the world literally and figuratively on fire. We see climate change and political wars and human suffering. In the face of such massive problems, we often feel that our small hobbies are completely useless. We tell ourselves that making a piece of music or writing a silly story is an indulgence we cannot afford while the world is hurting. We think that being serious and worried is the only way to be responsible. But what if we have it backwards? What if the act of creating something is not a distraction from the fire but a way to help put it out? We are living in a time where we feel small and powerless. We feel like we are just spectators watching a disaster movie. But there is a hidden power inside every one of us that we have been told to ignore. We have been taught to believe that art is just a decoration or a way to spend time when we are retired. Today we are going to look at why that idea is not only wrong but actually dangerous to our health and our future. We are going to explore how making things can give us back our power and our purpose in a world that feels increasingly empty. This is not just about being an artist in a gallery. It is about the creative spark that lives in every single human being regardless of their talent or their job. On the surface, we tend to view creativity as a secondary part of life. We see it as something that belongs in a museum or as a fun activity for children in a classroom. The surface concept in our culture is that art is a luxury. It is something we do only when all the real work is finished. We have built a world that prizes productivity above everything else. We want to know how to optimize our sleep and our exercise and our diets. We listen to endless podcasts about how to be more efficient. In this world of efficiency, the creative act looks frivolous. It looks like a waste of time. We think of an artist as someone who is playing while the rest of us are working. This surface view makes us feel guilty when we want to spend an hour playing the piano or painting a picture. We tell ourselves that it is not productive and that we should be doing something that matters more. This narrative pushes our natural instinct to create into a small corner of our lives. We end up treating our own creativity like a secret we are ashamed of rather than a source of strength. Behind this surface guilt lies a hidden assumption that we are only valuable if we are solving a big problem or making money. We often assume that unless our work can save the planet or pay the bills, it has no real impact. This hidden assumption suggests that the only things that count are the things we can measure with numbers. We measure our worth by our to-do lists and our bank balances. But this assumption ignores the deep human need for meaning. When we stop creating, we often fall into a state of existential depression. We feel like we have no agency. We feel like we are just cogs in a machine. The hidden truth is that when we stop making things, we start consuming more things to fill the void. We fill our time with endless scrolling on our phones or with addictions that numbs our pain. We assume that being a consumer is our natural state, but it is actually a sign of a creative spirit that has been silenced. We have been tricked into believing that we are too small to make a difference, so we stop trying to build anything at all. This creates a structural pattern in our modern society where we are professional consumers rather than active creators. Think about the structure of your day. How much of it is spent taking in information versus putting something original out into the world? The pattern of our lives is often dominated by the technology in our pockets. We spend years of our lives staring at screens, giving our most valuable resource, which is our attention, to big companies that profit from our boredom. This structural pattern has robbed us of our ability to focus. It has made us into a culture that watches rather than a culture that does. When we look at the world through a screen, we see all the horror, but we feel none of the power to change it. This pattern of consumption leads to a sense of hopelessness. It makes us feel that since a machine or an artificial intelligence can do it better, there is no point in trying ourselves. This is a structural trap that keeps us frozen. We have forgotten that the value of art is not in the final product but in the human connection that happens during the process. We have allowed the structure of our lives to be built around efficiency rather than expression. We can reframe our entire perspective by seeing the creative act as a form of rebellion. Instead of seeing art as a hobby, we can reframe it as a necessary pillar of self-development. Just as we need exercise for our bodies and sleep for our brains, we need creativity for our souls. Reframing art as activism changes everything. It means that when you decide to cook a new meal or record a video about your favorite game, you are taking back your attention from a system that wants to keep you passive. You are declaring that your voice and your imagination matter. We can reframe our work as a way to bring order to the chaos. When you create, you are the master of your own little world. You get to decide the rules and you get to see the impact of your actions. This reframing gives us back the agency that the modern world tries to take away. We should stop asking if our art is good and start asking if it is honest. The goal is not to be perfect, but to be human. In a world moving toward artificial and cold technology, the most radical thing you can do is be a messy and imperfect human who makes something with their own hands. Applying this to your daily life starts with reclaiming your time. Think about the 10 years that the average person spends looking at their phone. What if you took just 20 minutes of that time back every day? You can apply this by starting small. You do not need a studio or expensive tools. You just need the intention to connect. This could be writing a poem for a friend or building something in your backyard. We can apply this by changing our language. Stop saying I am not an artist. Instead, say I am a person who makes things. This shift in identity allows you to play again without the fear of judgment. We can also apply this by being more generous with our creations. Many of us hide what we make because we are afraid it is not good enough. But we must realize that our art could be the antidote to someone else's pain. Your words or your music or your recipes are a gift you give to the future. When you share what you make, you are building a bridge to another person. This is how we start to put out the fires of isolation and meaninglessness. We should treat our creativity with the same respect we give to our jobs or our health. It is a vital part of what keeps us whole. As we reflect deeper, we must realize that we are the only species on this planet that creates for the sake of connection. We are born to build and to imagine. If we leave this world having only consumed, we have missed the very core of our humanity. Our legacy is not found in the things we bought, but in the things we left behind. Whether it is a garden you planted or a story you told, your creative acts are the footprints you leave on the earth. We are currently facing a crisis of meaning because we have sidelined our most powerful tool for finding purpose. We think we are being selfish when we take time for our art, but the most selfish thing we can do is keep our unique perspective hidden from the world. We need your voice and your vision to help us imagine a better way forward. Creatives are the people who dare to dream of a world that does not exist yet. They are the ones who show us that change is possible. By taking up space with your creations, you are telling the world that beauty and hope are still worth fighting for. We are all artists in the sense that we are all shaping our own lives every single day. The world is waiting for the piece of yourself that only you can give. If you decided today that your creativity was not a hobby but a vital form of service to a world in pain, what is the one thing you would stop hiding and finally begin to make?